Racists rising in the USA. Hate groups and hate crimes are surging against the backdrop of an immigration debate turned ugly. Is there a link?
From the backwoods of Arkansas, I'm Avi Lewis. This week, we look at the rise of hate in America. Arkansas. It's one of only 6 states in the USA that doesn't have a law against hate speech. The wilderness here in the northwestern corner of the state is also known for being one of America's biggest pockets of white supremacist groups that are enjoying a new momentum these days. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups in America, their number has increased a dramatic 48% since the year 2000. At the same time, the FBI says that hate crimes against Latinos jumped 35% between 2003 and 2006. So what's driving these trends, and where do they intersect with the issues at play in the election campaign? We came down to America's Deep South to ask some of the players themselves.
Let me ask you something. Somebody comes across the border in the middle of the night. Why are they doing that? Really, 3 reasons.
And all we hear about is amnesty for illegals, and they all come
2, they're escaping the law. Or 3,
those of us
they're
down on the
hungry.
elbow-thrashing level of reality literally have
They
to make
can't
a human
make a
chain across
living
the
in their
border
own
with Mexico.
dirtbag country.
Ranting against so-called illegal aliens has a special resonance in this isolated corner of Arkansas, better known for being the birthplace of Walmart than for the concentration of white supremacist groups in the backwoods. In recent years, towns like Rogers have seen a wave of immigration, Latinos who have come for jobs in industries like meatpacking. It's hard work and low wages, but it's also the first chapter in the classic immigrant story, one in which kids look forward to a better life than their parents had. But that's not the case for everyone in this depressed region.
Well, Arkansas is poor. It's extremely white, particularly in the rural areas, which is what we're talking about. None of these groups. These groups are not urban phenomena at all. This is all about the country. It's very isolated. You know, if you want to have a compound where you practice, shooting stick figures of cops all day long, you can do it and nobody's going to bother you.
For 10 years, Mark Potok has been meticulously documenting U.S. hate groups in the Southern Poverty Law Center's intelligence report. We've come here not just to look at the rise in hate crimes, but to try to understand what's driving it. And Mark has some very clear answers to that question.
As the immigration debate in this country has become more heated, and it has become more heated over the last 7 or 8 years, hate groups, white supremacist groups, neo-Nazi groups, Klan groups, those kinds of organizations have been able to grow remarkably quickly as a result of this debate. In other words, by exploiting the debate. And they have been, frankly, aided and abetted by the kinds of pundits and politicians who repeat this false propaganda, this demonizing propaganda.
You say that the greatest invasion in history, the third world, et cetera, talking about the invasion at our borders, and I agree with you.
We are in a war with Mexico right now. They're the only ones fighting it, of course.
It wasn't just a dozen folks who are ensconced in the ivory tower who believe that the Southwest is Aztlan and it belongs to them.
In places like Rogers, Arkansas, the media megaphone is heard loud and clear. And while immigrants feel threatened, hate groups are emboldened. Jim Miranda is a local Latino activist on the front lines of his community.
No question. I mean, hate groups have been alive and well in this part of Arkansas and also in this part of the United States. But prior to now, they've been on the fringe. They've never really had a forum or a voice or a platform. But this issue of immigration has given their ideology a new lease on life. And they've come out of the shadows, and now they've gained a legitimacy that they've never experienced before. And that's really unfortunate. We find it very troubling.
As hate groups come out of the shadows, violence against immigrants is on the rise. According to FBI figures, it's highest in areas with big immigrant communities. In California, for instance, racially motivated crimes against Latinos increased 54% between 2003 and 2006, the very period in which the immigration debate got ugly in America. And Little Rogers, Arkansas is not immune to this trend.
It was a normal Thursday at work, and I saw a woman with a baby, and I said, "What a beautiful baby you have." And that was it. We went to the car and went home.
Miguel Villeda came to the U.S. at age 19. His uncle, Miguel Barone, took him in and helped him get work. He's been living as one of the family with his uncle, aunt, and 6 cousins who've lived in Rogers for nearly 15 years. According to Miguel, his innocuous comment about that cute baby got no response from its mother, maybe because he spoke in Spanish. The next day, he was cornered at work by the woman's husband and another man.
They started punching me, and my Uncle Miguel came over and said, "Why are you hitting him?" And then they started to hit my Uncle Miguel, and they knocked him on the floor. His head smashed against the cement, and he was unconscious there for like 5 or 10 minutes.
And they were saying a lot of bad words to him, like, I don't know if I can say it. They were saying like Mexicans, and they say they were like with anger, like so angry.
Miguel Barone was taken to hospital. His family watched over him day and night for 9 days.
And they disconnect all the machines at 3 o'clock on Saturday, January the 5th. Disconnecting all those stuff, and it was hard. I want to be there in that job and do something, like, I don't know, like defend my dad. And
2 of Miguel's co-workers have been charged, one with first-degree murder, the other with being an accomplice to murder, as well as a charge of terroristic threatening. An hour from the Barone family's house, Thomas Robb and his family are hosting a gathering of the clan. Thomas Robb is National Director of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. For most people outside the U.S., the KKK is the defining image of race hate in America, evoking an era of lynchings, cross-burnings, and white hoods. The Klan still exists today, though it is a pale imitation of what it once was, from a single unified movement with 4 million members in 1923 to 6,000 or 7,000 today, and they are fractured into dozens of bickering factions. But despite its marginal membership, the Klan is more global today, connecting with white power groups in other countries and using the internet for distribution. It is also cloaked in new garb, that of an ethnic interest group, appropriating the language of civil rights for whites.
But this is the Global Minority Report because we're reporting on the world's global minority. In reality, worldwide, white people are the worldwide minority, only about 10% of the world's population. Hello, my name is Thomas Robb, National Director of the Knights.
Hello, my name is Rachel Pendergraft. Welcome to this week's edition of This is the Klan. And the firestorm over comments made by the so-called Reverend Jeremiah Wright is still making some national attention.
So for me to say that I love my people more than Nick...
Despite the mainstream veneer at this weekend's Faith and Freedom Conference, amidst the childlike homemade cakes and colorful flags, there's still one underlying principle that connects the Klan of today to that of the past.
In this book I've got, every chapter, every book, every sentence, every word is tied together by race. Amen.
For local police like Sergeant Kelly Craddock, tracking hate groups of all kinds is part of the job. And these days, the Klan is the least of his problems.
What's the drug of choice with your white supremacists? It's not Flintstones vitamins. It's not cough drops. Meth. Now what you have are organized groups of white supremacist gangs that live particularly out in the unincorporated areas of the county. They're heavy into methamphetamine cooking and trafficking. They like to do weird things with and make homemade guns and different things. They're sexually inappropriate. A lot of incest goes on in your white supremacist groups, and so they homeschool their kids to keep that information away from the schools.
It's a profile that seems far from the mainstream of American life. But there is one issue that comes up over and over that gives white supremacists an easy entree into the wider culture.
So do you see the immigration debate as an opportunity?
I do, and it has been, because it's such a grassroots issue that many white Americans who might have difficulty understanding or sympathizing with some of our views on other issues can imagine themselves standing with us next time once they hear what we have to say about illegal immigration.
What I see is the opportunity. Well, that's the Mexican invasion. Now, what we're doing about it, how we're approaching it. You know, we have a campaign called Mobilize America, and our people get literature out constantly. We have members that have joined the Minutemen down in along the border.
Propaganda is oftentimes starting in white supremacist groups. These are completely false allegations about, for instance, secret plans to conquer the United States.
It might begin in the Southwest, where Hispanics decide that they want Aztlán. They want to have the Reconquista, to rejoin with Mexico, which they feel white Americans stole from them.
The so-called Reconquista, an idea given airtime by CNN in a report on the Lou Dobbs Show.
Also part of the territory some militant Latino activists refer to as Aztlán.
This material makes its way very often onto cable news television, onto talk radio, and into the mouths of politicians, including U.S. congressmen.
That map came from a white supremacist group, by the way, and they were identified right on the map. And there are members of the United States Congress who believe this.
To some people that are the avid sort of pro-illegal immigration side, it means reconquering that part of the United States which was ceded to the United States by Mexico in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848.
Colorado Republican Tom Tancredo has built a career and a run for president crusading against illegal immigration.
He says what the hate groups say in his run for president. He, holds meetings with them. He speaks at their rallies.
I would challenge them, and have time and time again, to find anything that I've said ever in the 10 years I've been in Congress or before that on this issue that could be identified as hate speech. Hi, I'm Tom Tancredo, and I approve this message.
There are consequences to open borders beyond the 20 million aliens who've come to take our jobs. The price we pay for spineless politicians who refuse to defend our borders against those who come to kill.
This ad shows immigrants crossing the border, and then it shows unattended packages, and then it shows buildings blowing up. And he's making a clear case. You should be worried about illegal immigration as a security issue.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, this has been wonderful. Senator McCain may not be happy with this debate, the spirit of this debate.
Dogged by terrible polling results, Tom Tancredo dropped out of the presidential race before the major primaries had even taken place.
We'll solve this immigration problem, and we won't demagogue it, and we won't have sanctions.
And the Republican with the most liberal position on immigration went on to win. But in the backwoods of Arkansas, hate groups are still hopeful that America's political conversation will serve their ends.
As we travel the country talking to people about the election, there's a lot of excitement out there about Barack Obama.
I think for the white nationalist cause, I think he would be the best one for us. It might galvanize people. And then white people themselves might look upon this as a race war and begin thinking with their blood and their heritage again.
Coming up, our weekly look at how the presidential race is unfolding in the media, and Life After Hate. A former skinhead tells his story.